All right, let's talk about something that happens all the time when you're browsing the web, but you probably never even notice. We're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden piece of internet magic, a simple code that acts like a tiny traffic cop, directing you from place to place. Let's get right into it.
You know the feeling, right? You click on a link, and in the blink of an eye, you're on a page with a completely different URL in the address bar. It feels a little weird, maybe like a glitch in the Matrix. But what if I told you that wasn't an accident at all? What if it was all part of the plan?
So, here's the roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll talk about that unexpected online detour. Then we're going to decode the 302 redirect. That's the technical bit behind the magic. After that, we'll get into why these detours are actually super necessary, how they affect search engines like Google, and finally, we'll put them head-to-head with their permanent cousins.
Okay, so let's go back to that moment. You click, the URL changes, and for a second you wonder, wait, what just happened? Well, it's not an error message, and you're not lost. You've just taken a very deliberate and often very helpful detour on the information superhighway.
And that's really the heart of it. Your browser didn't mess up, you weren't sent to the wrong place by mistake. A web server made a conscious decision to send you to a new address, and it did it for a very good reason. This little move is actually fundamental to keeping the web running smoothly.
All right, time to pop the hood and see how the engine works. This whole detour system is run by something called an HTTP status code. And the specific one we're digging into today is the 302 redirect.
So think of it like this. Your browser goes to a server and asks for a web page. The server can then respond with this 302 found code. It's basically like leaving a note on an empty storefront that says, hey, we're not here right now, but you can find us just down the street at this new address for a little while. Now, there are three really important things to get about this 302 code. First, and this is the big one, it's always temporary. The server is basically promising that the original address is coming back. Second, it doesn't just say it moved, it gives your browser the exact new address in something called a location header. And finally, you don't have to do a thing. Your browser sees the note, reads the new address, and just goes there automatically. Pretty seamless, right?
So you might be wondering, why go through all this trouble? Why not just change the link in the first place? Well, because these temporary detours are an incredibly useful tool for anyone running a website. Let's look at why they're so essential.
Yeah, in the real world, the 302 is a web developer's best friend. Say a site is down for maintenance. They can use a 302 to send everyone to a friendly "we'll be back soon" page. Or maybe they're trying out a new homepage design. They can A/B test it by sending, say, half their visitors to the new version. It's also used for load balancing. If one server gets overwhelmed with traffic, a 302 can route new visitors to a different server. And it even helps content delivery networks, or CDNs, send you to the server that's physically closest to you, which makes pages load way faster.
Okay, so we know it's good for website owners, and it's good for users. But what about the 800-pound gorilla in the room, search engines? How does Google feel about all these temporary moves? This right here is where things get super important for anyone who cares about their website's visibility.
I mean, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? For any business owner or marketer, it's a huge fear. If I move a page, even just for a little while, am I going to lose all that valuable ranking I've worked so hard to build?
And here is the good news. Search engines are really smart about this. When Google's web crawler sees a 302 code, it knows exactly what it means. It understands, okay, this is just temporary. So it doesn't change its main records. It keeps the original URL in its index, which means all that ranking authority, all that SEO juice stays right where it belongs.
But, and this is a huge but, you've got to use it correctly. Because if you don't, a 302 can absolutely be a double-edged sword. If you use a temporary redirect for something that's actually a permanent move, you're going to confuse the heck out of the search engines, and that can really hurt your ranking.
And that leads us perfectly to our final showdown. This is the most critical distinction you need to understand. It's all about knowing when to signal a temporary detour versus a permanent change of address. It's the 302 versus its heavyweight cousin, the 301.
It all comes down to your intention. So on one side, you've got the 302. You use this for short-term things, like that website maintenance we talked about. It sends a clear message to search engines, hey, we'll be back at this address soon. And because of that, the original URL holds on to all of its ranking power. On the other side, you have the 301, moved permanently. This is what you use when a page is gone for good. It tells search engines, hey, update your address book. This is our new home forever. And it passes all that ranking authority over to the new URL.
Look, if there's only one thing you remember from all of this, let it be this right here. This is the golden rule. Use a 302 for temporary detours.
Use a 301 for permanent moves. That's it. Getting that right is one of the most fundamental parts of maintaining a healthy, successful website.
So there you have it. You're now in on the secret. That little jump from one URL to another isn't a bug. It's a feature, and a really important one at that. It just leaves one last question to think about. Now that you know the difference, are the detours on your website leading everyone down the right path? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.